the beginning to these things are always awkward because I'm like waiting to see when it actually gets going, and you can never really tell when it actually kicks off. So it's always just like kind of like, all right, are we live yet? So I have no idea if you can hear me right now or not. You are live. How goes it? Okay, I'm just finishing up a couple things real quick, and then we'll get this underway. Bear with me. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Cool. So, welcome back to the FPV drone building talking live stream. This is the third time that I've done this, so as always, if you see anything that you'd like to have changed or that is awkward or you can't see anything, mention it in the comments and I will correct it for the next session. This build was sponsored by FPV, this one, RaceLeague.com. They are a race league down in Louisville, Kentucky. They're an awesome group of people that I love racing with, and they sent me these parts to kind of build together. I'm sending it back afterwards. But yeah, so if you are a first-time visitor, say hello. Let me know how you got here. I'm interested to see, in what ways that I'm reaching out to people. If you're coming back, I'm sorry you have nothing to do better with your Saturday morning. And if you are a vendor or a sponsor or something like that, let me know, and I'd be really excited to kind of work on something like for your product on the live stream. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, so this morning we are finishing up an XBR220 from Black Bolt. It is a X-frame that has been pretty popular lately. They're a pretty cool group of guys that race these things very fast, and I'm excited about building one and flying one. On the podcast or on the stream last week, we had a little bit of trouble getting the flight controller to connect to the 5-volt. For whatever reason, it wasn't powering up. This is that flight controller. So I've kind of given up on it because it was just a pain to work with. It wasn't doing anything right. So I've replaced it with a full-size. And actually, now that I think about it, I probably should have actually pulled this out of the box and checked it first. But I'm replacing it with a full-size Maze 32 Rev 6 because that's currently my favorite flight controller. So that's what we're going to be working on. Welcome Thomas and welcome Samuel. But yeah, so those are the parts we're working with, and that's what we're going to be doing. So really, the goal for today is to finish this. We're going to be mounting the flight controller. I've got the hood and the camera all glued together, ready to go. So that's pretty much a done step. And we're going to be mounting up a receiver and doing a little bit of testing. We'll hopefully get a maiden flight in here by the end. Yeah, the full size. So cool props FPV. I'm working on one being an XBR. I assume the full size FC is tough to get in there. Yes, it is. But I've actually gone through and I have this is a dead Maze 32. One of the axes of the gyro isn't working at all. I actually mounted everything in here a couple days ago, and I've been able to lock down the hood just fine with a full size Maze in there. So I'm hoping that today we're going to be able to have some success. Tobias Stevenson asks, wasn't something broken the last time? Yeah, for whatever reason the flight controller would not power up on 5 volts. So yeah, that's the goal. We've got everything's already wired up. I haven't yet tested motor direction, so we'll have to do that at some point. But hopefully that'll be pretty quick. Yeah. So the way that I have decided to mount this flight controller, is this the one you were working on for a client? Yes, this is the one. This is the XBR220 that I'm working on for a client. So the first thing that I want to do is start insulating some of these things. What are these? Wires. I don't want them to be contacting the nays at all. And so I'm just putting a little bit of electrical tape over some of them, and I'm going to do some other things with the other ones, just to keep it, just to make sure that everything's out of the way. And then I have some double-sided sticky tape that I'm going to do on the rest here. This stuff is not great, but it's not horrible. But in my testing, it was really locked down and it wasn't going to go anywhere. So that's good enough for me and for the client. I've talked to them about this way of doing things. So now I'm kind of just building it up to make it an even surface across this whole thing so that when the naze is on there, it's level and centered. So, you know, it's kind of an ugly little sandwich. If I can get this in here. But it's level, and it's not going to go anywhere once the hood is on. I'll probably put a dab of hot glue or two in there just to keep it nice and good. Before we do that, I want to test out and make sure that this naze is working fine. So I'm going to plug it into the computer. If I could, I've done the USB port three-way failure. Flight. Connecting, disconnected. So this needs to be flashed, it looks like. Disconnect, firmware flasher. Full chip erase, load firmware local, downloads. I think this is Betaflight 2.2. I'll put 2.3 on it in a bit. I just wanted to get this hooked up and make sure that it's at least running. Connect. Let's pull this and start it again. It looks like some, no, I guess we got this here. That looks like a working flight controller. Got a cycle time of 1,000. So, yep, cool. So that's working. Ready to go. Switch this back over to this. Hey, Dirt Diver has joined us. Oh, okay. So, naze is going to mount here. So, in my testing, what I found was that the naze would mount there, and then you see how there's the antenna points on this? If I stick them off the front, this receiver will mount real nice and low down here, and then the wires can connect. And so so what I'm going to do is wire up the servo leads for the motors, and then I'm going to just put a couple dabs of hot glue and mount the receiver basically like this, and then the front of the pod fits over that pretty nicely. Move that back just a little bit. So it'll all essentially go together like this. And if those wires weren't in the way, you'd see that it's flush against the surface with all of that stuff in there. Cool Props FPV asks, do you explain anywhere your streaming setup? No, I've not done that, but I'd be excited to talk about it if anybody's interested. So I'm going to hook up my hot glue gun here. Oh, I often end up making a mistake because there's a forwards on this thing, ironically, even though it's a square. And I always kind of forget about which way it is, so let me just double check that I've got it right. Okay. Okay. So this is the front right here. Let's mark that. So I'm putting a piece of tape here on the front so that I remember where that needs to be. Yeah, thanks for the advice on putting the tape there. Beat you to it by just a second. So yeah, I'm not thrilled with how this one's turning out, just because of the kind of it's like my build is slightly ugly. I like to have it a little bit cleaner, but it'll work, you know. So yeah, that should stay right there. I'll put a couple just quick dabs of hot glue to make it for sure locked in and not going anywhere. But I'm very satisfied with how that'll work. Might not be hot enough yet. It's my first XBR that I'm building, as it's a tough build for sure. Yeah, this is my first XBR, and I decided to be stupid and do my first XBR on a live stream. Yeah, tape it. So I am using double-sided tape, but I'm also using a little bit of glue, and it's. But once the hood is on, everything is smashed. Not smashed, but like held pretty tightly together. So I'm not too worried about it as a result of that. Shout out from Northern Ireland and from Norway. Welcome. I bought a complete sandwich components to put together. I did the sandwich, but I think I screwed up my Afro Mini, and I didn't like it, so I kind of just skipped it. Thanks, Jazzman. I saw you just put a video out the other day. I watched it. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I remember liking it, so good work. All right. So let's hook up the motors. Now, as always, I always forget to remember clean flight motor orientation, because I'm stupid. I keep telling myself to print it out so that I don't have to look it up every time. But you know what? It's working, so no reason to change. Tree line racing. Yep, that's the one. I do remember that now. What is the point of those crossbars between the motors? Did the arms not offer enough rigidity? They offer a lot more rigidity, and it lets the entire quad stay less tall. Like there's less width or depth to the carbon fiber, so it's only like 2.3, 2.4 millimeters of carbon fiber, but the extra rigidity that comes from those the struts in the middle help immensely. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is power the flight controller, and I've got these cables coming up from a UBEC on the bottom, and So I'm going to tin up this maze a little bit. Can you get to the USB cover when the hood is still on? No, and that's one of the so if you look at the recommended way to do an XBR, they include a what's called the sandwich, and the sandwich has a FTDI cable that comes out and sticks kind of down outside of the frame a little bit, so that you can get at it with the hood on. But yeah, so that's kind of that's the recommended way to do it. But I'm not doing it the recommended way because I had trouble with the recommended way, because I'm only a novice builder. So I'm just tinning up my flight controller, because I'm not going to use the through holes. You rebel, you. Yeah, I'm a bit of a troublemaker. I was talking to Jordan Temkin about it, who is a Team Big Group pilot from Black Bolt, and he was like, you know what, it really comes down to whatever you like best. So, and this is what I like best. I'm gonna put another dab right here. I hate hot glue so much, but it's so useful at the same time. All right. Okay, so on the maze, the middle row is power, or positive. The outside row is ground, and then the back is signal. So I'm going to take the positive wire from the UBEC, which is the 5-volt supply for this. I'm going to put it way out to the side here, just to keep it separate from the motor so that I just know which one is which. And then this is the ground for the UBEC, which I'm going to trim up a little bit. Morning, Adam. Okay, so we've got 5 volts going to the maze, just fine there. And now we can start on the motors. So this motor here is motor 2. So what I'm going to do is I actually like to run it kind of around behind back here and forward. Sorry about that. All of the silicone on the wires is starting to come out a little bit, so I'm trying to trim them back as I go just to make sure that they're out of the way. So this is the signal for the motor 2 and ground for motor 2. Yeah, I would do it to the bottom, except that I find it a lot harder to work on that way if I ever need to, and I have more essentially wiggle room on the top, because I can kind of mash the cables around a little bit as I need to. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's what I usually do. All right, so on this side is motor 4. Trim that up a bit again. Yeah. If I do another one, I'm going to try it with the sandwich again, and I'm going to try to figure out, and now that I know kind of what I do, I would give it another shot and see if I can figure out a way. But the Team Big Whoop recommended way to do it is actually with wires on top. So Dirt Diver asks, what flight controller is that? It's a Maze 32 Rev 6. Oh, he's not listening. Just kidding. Thank you, Cool Props. All right, 2 motors done. Ah, sorry, I keep bumping the camera, my bad. Hey, I'm from Brazil. I just came in, watched your other recordings earlier. First time to get your transmission live. Like it very much. Thanks. I'm glad you could make it from Brazil. I have to leave, coming back tomorrow to watch the video. See you. Bye, Tobiah. Okay, this is motor 1. Sorry, I gotta pick this up for a second to look at it. Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure that everything was out of the way. Wire strippers, what is this blasphemy? Are you making fun of me because I didn't have them for so long? Jerk. You guys are insatiable. It's like, use this, no, use this, no, use that. I'm just gonna do what I want, okay? Next, you'll need a heat gun. Yep, I need to run out and pick one up. But I didn't before today. So I could probably trim these up a little bit, but I'm leaving them long on the... See you, Jazzman, thanks for coming. I'm going to leave it a little bit long on purpose, just in case I need to trim things up or whatever. Alright, and now for motor 3. Heat gun's nice, Lowe's, Home Depot, well worth it. Yeah, I need to just pick up like a $20 gun and use it. I just use this is my heat gun right here. About time we back to the build from Delbert. Yep, you're right. It was too long, and I had some stuff to deal with on Tuesday or Thursday, so it was kind of like I'll just push it off until Saturday, and that way hopefully some of the international and European people can join in the fun or monotony, depending on how much you like building. Okay, so I'm going to run through all these to make sure that they're all clear. Double checking never hurt anyone. Okay, that all looks pretty good. We just need to give this some power. Hopefully the maze will work this time. Delbert says, love watching your videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really like making them, so I'm not going to stop, no matter how much you like them or don't. Alright, magic smoke in 3, 2, 1. No magic smoke. Thank God. Alright, I'm plugging this in. I'm hooking it up to Clean Flight. Clean Flicket. Motors tab. So we have one motor not spinning. And that being motor 1. Gosh, KCSCs are so quiet for some reason. Alright, so motor 1 doesn't want to work. Let us find out why. It was broke in that it didn't want to give out 5 volts to anything, and so it wouldn't power the receiver, so it just was not an option anymore. What camera do you use on your quads? I always use the 700 TVL from Surveil Zone. This one's running a 2.1mm lens. But that's the camera. That's my camera of choice. I've got it in all 3 of my builds. On this one, you have to use the 1177M, which is a little bit smaller. So I don't know why this motor isn't spinning up, but I'm redoing all the connections to make sure. There hasn't been any smoke from it, so I use the Xiaomi Yi camera. This guy. That's somebody asked what was your recording camera. I'm getting ready to build a Raiju Hex. Awesome. That not me. Delbert said he was going to do that. That sounds awesome. Sounds like a lot of broken props. Yeah, my last video uses the SuperView script. Humboldt asks if I have used the SuperView script, but yeah, the last video I made does. Ever figure out why the Afro wasn't working? No, I kind of gave up on it, to be honest. Now I gotta figure out why this ESC isn't working. Okay, so all the connections on the ESC itself look good. So now I gotta test the connections up here, or double check them. You have a 4-inch prop quad? Yes, I do. It is the multi-rotor Superstore Frogger. Did a sponsored build video for them, and I've loved continuing to have it around. I'm not a huge fan of 4-inch yet. I have a couple motors that I'm trying to grab that will be a little bit more fun for 4-inch, but I have not indulged yet. Trying to get some people to send me them. Yep, new flight controller. The Afro Mini didn't want to behave. And my first rule of multi-copters is that they're easy to work with and easy to fix, so yeah, where's my Frogger? It's such a mess in here, I can't even find a quad. Yeah. This is my Frogger. Well, here, let's see. Primary. Yeah. This is my Frogger. It's not quite True X. It's really sturdy. It's light. It's like 270 all up. I've got all of the stuff in there. I've got this is an X8R that's been depinned. That's in here. I'm running DYS 1806 2300 kV motors, which I enjoy more than the 2204 2300 Sunny Skies that I was running on a 180 before. This just seems to be lighter and has a little bit more fun. But yeah, no, I've liked flying this a lot. Okay. Let's see if we can't. I really hope that we don't have a dead ESC here for some reason. Because, I mean, I have the whole previous build. You could probably shave that much off, so Curtis says, I wonder if you can shave another 20 grams off it and get it sub 250. You could, but with the battery, it's still up in the mid 300s with a 4-cell 1300 milliamp. Is this the quad the Colorado boys make? No, yes, this is the XBR220. Alright, let's try this again. flight. Motors. All. What is wrong with this thing? Dang it. So now, motor 1 won't spin up. I've tested all the connections, and there has not been any magic smoke. This is the build that will not end. Well, let's make sure it's... I'm going to move a motor to motor 1 and make sure that it's not this slot on the maze for some reason. That's bad. Alright, so I'm moving motor 2 to motor 1's spot. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's my next step. Alright, so does motor 1 work? It should be this one. Yep. So it's not the spot on the maze. Unsurprisingly. Alright. So we move these back real quick. Okay. Continuity check anytime. It's actually going to be a pain. Signal. Signal. Wait, is that motor 1? No, this is motor 1. Continuity on signal. Now for ground. Continuity on ground. All right, now for continuity on power, if we can reach it. Not likely that these wires are broken. Sorry, I can't do this in a good way on the camera. Continuity on power is good. And now on ground. Continuity. So they're wired. Yeah, I don't think it's the motor either. I mean, the motor would at least try to spin, right? How do we... I'm thinking, like, so is there a way that we could check that the maze can communicate to the ESC other than spinning the motors? Can it read through to see it? Does that make sense? I mean, it must be a dead ESC. No, I don't have any more KISS 30 ESCs. I only have the 4 that were sent to me. What's wrong? So somebody asked what's wrong. It's that the motor 1 won't spin. Well, we'll try a calibration because we're... Yeah, I calibrated it. It didn't do anything. So did somebody say that there's a light on KISS ESCs somewhere? Like there's no shorts on here. Swap ESC from motor 1 to 2. If fault follows, it's the ESC. If it stays, it's the motor or FC communication. That's a good idea. The isn't it the front left motor? That would be motor 4. This is the front, this is the motor that's not spinning. Can you help me figure out where the light is? Go to the motor tab, spin the motor by hand. You should see the maze read it. How do you mean? Okay, so I see the lights on these ESCs. I don't see a light on this one. So, if you look into the heat shrink there, you can see the lights lit. And then, if you look here, there's no light. Okay, so you want me to go into the Motors tab. Oh, gotta connect. And motors, arm. Okay, so that's all but one spinning. Now, let's spin the motor by hand. I am spinning the motor by hand. I don't see this responding to anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I think we got ourselves a dead KISS ESC. Yeah, that's the gyro. Well, yeah, I did go through and check all of the connections on this ESC, and I saw nothing wrong. So, I mean, those are not beautiful, but there's no awkward connections or anything. And these are great. Do you have measured voltage? I have made sure that the ESC is receiving the 12 volts from the 3-cell battery, yes. Yeah. Oops. I don't think it does make the startup sound. Andrew Fabian asks if the ESC plays its startup tones when power is applied. I think actually in the first stream I had powered up. I was going to power them up one at a time, and I think this might have even been the first one that I did. And I powered it up, and it didn't make a sound like the first time I powered it. So maybe it just was dead from the beginning. Because like if you go back and watch that video, I can hear it or not hear it, not get power, or you can tell that it doesn't get power then. And so maybe it was just dead from the beginning. Well, shit. But it doesn't beep unless it's in programming mode. Well, but the LED is still not getting power anyway. Well, I don't know what else there would be to do. There's not like some sort of jumper or something that I need to cross, or... Well, this has been another experiment in failed XBR220 builds with Boba Fett. I did check continuity. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, I know it's an ESC problem though, because the ESC doesn't light up. At all. Like there's an LED right there that is not lighting. No, you're fine. Light though. I don't have a 5th ESC now. These parts were sent to me. I would have bought myself a 5th one though, for sure. Yeah. Man. Go into BL Heli Suite and see if it detects it. This is going to sound like a dumb question, but isn't this not a BL Heli ESC? I thought KISS firmware was its own thing. Well, I guess I'll have to get myself a new ESC. Might as well pull this off right now while we're at it, while the iron's hot. Delbert, did you see if there was a LED lit? Just power ESC. Okay. That thing got warm. Wait, there's a tool for this. Okay. No, come back. Is it normal to have this kind of mishap while building? No, I have never had this much trouble with the build. It's normal to troubleshoot. Yeah, I would say always buy 5 ESCs no matter what. I did not buy these ESCs, so. Okay. Now we're just testing to see if the LED comes on without a motor attached. Don't solder the signal? Oh, okay. The LED does not appear to be lit. Yeah, it is probably because of the stream. It's your guys' fault. Well, there we go. Dead kiss. Well, I guess that will bring an unexpected quick end. And so I don't really have anything else to work on. Man. I'm going out flying tonight. I was really hoping at my indoor place. I was really hoping to bring this and tune it up and have some fun with it, but I guess it will have to wait. Wangel, you want to help me break the news to Y that sent me a bad kiss? No LED, it's dead ESC. Man. I did check to make sure that it was getting voltage, and it was. Well, this has been failed multi-rotor builds with Boba Fett, so yeah, tune in next. Well, not 5 of everything, but 5 of motors and ESCs. What? Oh, that was weird. The stream killed and then came back. But yeah, buy 5 motors, buy 5 ESCs, and 2 of everything else. But yeah, so it's been fun. Sorry that we didn't get to see anything fly again today, but yeah, cool. Have an excellent week. I'll try to be back on Thursday, but then the following Thursday, I'm going to be out of town, and so we'll either have to push something forward or do something later. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. It's been fun.